Balance.
I don't know about you, Pete, but I've been really looking forward to this class.
I might not move.
Yeah.
So just watch the issue Devo over there.
I hope you guys are all feeling the same. I'm sure we're all feeling the same. Just a little bit kind of over everything and, you know, just coping.
Just.
So we're here for a beautiful hour of bliss. Shavasana. Set yourself up with weight bags, with props, with pillows, blankets, eye pillows, bolsters, whatever you've got. Set yourself up so you can have a really restful, I'm going to give you a full 5 minutes in this first posture, this Shavasana.
I definitely won't do that.
So you can really settle into the practice. This is an opportunity for us to give back to ourselves, something that we don't do. We're not taught very well, actually. We're so used to outputting, you know, giving to others and completing to-do lists and achievements and this constant striving outwards. And whilst that's necessary and valuable and good, too much of anything is not good for you, baby. So this is all about input. It's time to give back. It's time to remind ourselves that everything we're doing is enough. And in fact, just in general, I am enough. So whatever distractions you've got, whatever to-do list you've got, worries, concerns, frustrations, you know, all the crap. See if you can just get rid of it for this hour. 1 hour, that's all. Just leave it all at the door. Come into your space, come into your practice, and give back to yourself. Remind yourself just how important it is to do that, especially whenever you notice your mind wandering off into those other worlds, those outside worlds. You know, that'll be there later. You can deal with it all later. For now, this 1 hour is incredibly important. It's time to prioritize you. I was saying in the class before that, you know, lately I've been feeling a bit like I should be doing more, that horrible S word, should. And I've been questioning it in my head, should I be doing more? And it was a beautiful reminder to wake up this morning and, you know, just briefly while I was getting myself ready and was organising everything, there was something popped up on my phone. And it was a street sign, actually. Someone had taken a photo of it. And it said that your worth is not tied to your output. And it was a big an aha as well as a relief. Because I remember the teachings of yoga that the most important thing we can do for ourselves is to turn in. is to give back to ourselves, is to put into ourselves rather than constantly putting out. And I think that's why I've been feeling so sort of overwhelmed and exhausted, because, you know, we're in this unusual, uncertain time that no one's really sure how to navigate it. I love my practice for that reason. Those little reminders. Enough. I am enough. I'm doing enough. And it's time to reprioritize and put the focus back on me. I'm going to take legs up the wall, or waterfall we call it. So you're going to lift your hips up by placing your feet flat to the floor and bring whatever prop you're utilising at home. If you don't have any props, if you've got it like a couch pillow or a bed pillow or something handy, go grab it. Bring it back and use that to lift your hips up, or even just roll up a towel. Go grab a towel from the bathroom, fold it a little bit, roll it up and bring it underneath your hips. And then let your legs float to the sky. You want your hips just slightly lifted, because then it brings this, one, a downward pressure, but also it's more comfortable, especially if you tighten your hamstrings. It's more comfortable with the hips slightly lifted to let the legs just kind of float in space. If your hips are flat on the floor, you're going to work harder. Your core's going to work harder, your legs and your hip flexors are going to work harder to hold the pose. So lift up, even utilising a towel or a pillow, will help you hold this pose more comfortably for longer. We want this downward pressure. It's actually a very revitalising posture. What we're doing is flushing out a lot of systems, bringing vibrancy back into the body, especially if you've been feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. This pose is beautiful to give you a little bit of a pick-me-up. This week I've been talking a lot about observing yourself, the practice of Svadhyaya, one of the integral practices of our traditional yoga. To really notice, what is it that my mind obsesses over? And how does that impact? How does it impact on my body, physiologically for one, but how does it impact on my entire life, every experience and my perception? I realised that thought in my head of I'm not doing enough, or should I be doing more? It was weighing me down. It's feeling heavy, lethargic in the body. But then that preoccupation, that colours the rest of your experience. Everything else in the day becomes heavy as well. Because you're not really present in what you're doing, thinking that you should be doing something else, something more. Good old yoga, back to basics. Uppta Yoga Nushasanam now. Practice presence. Tapas. Drink in the present moment, otherwise everything becomes a burden, a weight. An effort. Through the practice of yoga and practicing the essence of yoga, presence, there's this effortless effort that happens. That even though we're doing, it's effortless. Bend your knees and let them land just like down towards your chest, belly. They can go wide. And then the bolster's already there, so we're going to take supported bridge, but just one leg. So let your right leg go long, keep your left knee hugging into your chest, and then you can utilize, your hands, interlace them around the front of the knee or behind the thigh, or you can even utilize a strap or a scarf or another towel if you don't have props at home. If this is not sufficient for you, if you're really uncomfortable, then just let both legs go long. But see if you can just do one side at a time. So right leg is long, left knee's hugging in, and you'll feel, one, a bit of an extension through the spine, but two, real front of the hip. Hip flexor release. Even if it's subtle, our hip flexor is attached, is intimately connected to our diaphragm, which then is intimately connected to our breathing network, which then is intimately connected to our nervous system. So whenever we're feeling, challenged, overwhelmed, it has a pretty significant impact on every system of the body, but especially the nervous system. So anything we can do to prioritise bringing that back into balance is going to serve our whole life, the perception. Because if we go into any relationship or any conversation with a heightened nervous system, it's going to impact our experience. That's why these practices are so valuable, such a gift. It's like this hour that we spend cleanses, clears and purifies like you're cleaning a canvas. So then we can approach the rest of our day with the blank canvas. With a balanced nervous system, with a cleansed and more clear mindset. Releasing the shoulds. Connecting back to our true highest self that is pure and perfect already. That needs nothing else for harmony. However you can and want to, swap sides. You might want to hug the right knee back in again, or extend the left leg and then hug the right knee back in. However you want to change it over to the other side, go for it. Remember, this practice is not about output, it's about input. So really draw yourself in for these last 5 breaths. We call it Yin Yoga Balance, to bring balance back. Physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. Slowly release. Bring your feet flat to the floor, knees to the sky, just so you can lift your hips and slide whatever you've got out from underneath you. To bring yourself into twisted roots. So you don't need any props, but if you do have something, a pillow or a bolster blanket, you can bring it over to your right side. You're going to cross your left leg on top of your right, shift your hips to the left slightly, and then drop your knees over to your bolster or your prop. Reach the arms out long, take your head over towards the left, and just soften into the rotation. Beautiful rinse, detox, cleansing of the information highway that is our spinal cord, the whole center of our body. Flushing out any stagnation, any blockages. Remember to observe, to notice when the mind wanders into distraction and to really identify it. Not identify with it, just identify it. Where does it go? What's on the forefront of my mind? And what impact does that play on my body, on my breath, on my nervous system, on my relationships, on my life? And what does it feel like to release that weight, that burden? To free ourselves from the shackles. Reminding ourselves that at the essence, at our deepest core, we are already pure and perfect. Slowly unravel, just to lie on your back. Allow the spine to come back to neutral before we take it over to the other side. If you didn't use your prop on the first side, then probably don't worry about setting it up for your second side. If you did, move it over. And set up twisted roots again. So this time your right leg crosses on top of your left. Shift your hips to the right just slightly. So then when you take the knees over, the spine's a little bit more straight. To then really focus on the rotation on the axis of the spine. Take your gaze to the right because your knees are at the left. Really relax into the shape and feel your breath. Maybe even visualize your breath. Moving, traveling along the spine, cleansing it with every breath. Releasing any blockages, any stagnation, any tension. There's another beautiful practice in yoga called pratyahara, which it simplistically means or translates to withdrawing the senses. But deeper means that, our senses are always there. They're always providing information. But we don't have to be taken away by it. So, the information that the senses draw in doesn't have to impact. It's kind of the same thing, with the stuff going on in our lives at the moment. They're going to be there. They're not going anywhere. But it's what we do with it. So right now we can just leave it at the door. Don't focus our attention on it. Instead turn in. Allow our nervous system to calm down. Bring a little bit more vibrancy into the body through the balancing aspect of the practice. And then we can kind of deal with it later. But even when we deal with it later, it doesn't have to impact our nervous system. Doesn't have to, infiltrate our vibrancy. That's what pratyahara really is. It's not that we block our senses completely. We can do that, and that's also a beautiful practice. Very refreshing practice. But instead it's that we learn how to deal and cope and manage without the impact. And it's these practices that bring us back into balance, that aids that manageability. It's like, you know, we operate from an empty cup. Now we get an opportunity to input, to fill our cups back up a little bit. So then we're not running on empty. To prioritise self-care. And to remind ourselves of what's important. Notice where certain things are impacting us and how we can change it. Slowly again, unravel to lie on your back. Using whatever props you like, doesn't matter. Just lay flat and straight. Really help to open up through the diaphragm, that deep, that intimate connection with the nervous system through our supported fish pose. So help yourself up. Bring your pillow, your towel, your blanket, your bolster behind you so it's supporting your rib cage. And make sure your shoulders are towards the top of the bolster. Arms are going to go out wide above your bolster, towel, whatever it is that you're utilising. If the extension through your neck is too intense for you, then utilise something else to support your head. But what you want to feel is a stretch through the belly, especially the upper belly and lower, like right into your lower ribs. And then just allow your breath to be kind of free and full. So your diaphragm is releasing. Now, whatever you do with your legs is up to you. You can either just keep them long, or if you want to get a bit more through your hips, soles of feet together, knees wide. If you want even more and you've got some weight bags or other blankets, pillows, you might like to place them on your thighs for a little bit of weight to get a little bit more rotation, external rotation through the hips. More breaths. If you brought your knees or legs into Supta Baddha, soles of feet together, knees wide, just lengthen them out. And then engage your core slightly, use your elbows to push against your prop or just to help you kind of roll yourself up off your prop. Now you've got one of two options. You can take, Pete's going to take caterpillar. So you can follow Pete into caterpillar pose where you bring whatever you've got around underneath your knees. You don't need any props at all. You can just literally take your legs out long and fold over. Crush your forearms, rest your forehead. You can bring a block or a blanket or other props in for your caterpillar. Or if you prefer, child's pose, balasana. So Pete will take caterpillar, I'll take child's pose. If you're coming into child's pose, bring your prop in between your legs so you can lie your chest out on it, pick a cheek. Again, you don't need any props. You can literally just do this, no bolster, forehead to the floor. Choose your shape. Close your eyes. Both very nurturing postures. Both beautiful opportunities for us to turn in. And instead of constantly outputting, opportunity to input. If you've got a cheek on the bolster, you might like to swap it over if you haven't already to the other side. staying where you are for the last 5 breaths. I'm going to give you the option. So for those of you who practice with us regularly and you've got all your props and you've got your myofascial release equipment, you've got just over 10 minutes for you to do whatever you need to do to release, utilising your balls, your blocks, whatever you feel like would be the most benefit for you right now to input, to give back to yourself. For those of you who don't have myofascial release props and maybe you've not done myofascial release before, then we're going to do our half pigeon on the right side first and then the left side for the duration. So for those of you doing myofascial release, you know what to do, go for it. For those of you who don't have myofascial and you want to come with me, and then we're going to set ourselves up for our first side of half pigeon, or sleeping swan we call it. So utilise a pillow out in front, come onto all fours, bring your right knee behind your right wrist and swing your toes out to the left side of your mat. And then wiggle the back leg as far back as you can take it. Doesn't matter if that right hip's really high up off the floor. You can bring in other pillows, blankets, blocks to help prop it up, or you can just kind of let it float there. And then I like to use my bolster, but pillows work, blankets work, towels even work, just to kind of support my chest and my head. Doesn't matter where your arms go. Doesn't even matter really the shape of the hips. Wherever you're at, you'll feel a stretch. And it's about the time that we're in it. The time that we hold it gives the body that time to release. That sort of signal to release as well. So make your way into your pose or into your myofascial release. For those of you who are doing the release, we've got 4 minutes left on our right side, then we're going to swap over to our left side, and then we'll have another 5 minutes there, and that'll be almost time for you guys to finish up what you're doing. So I'll give you a countdown so you know how much time you've got left for the practice. But remember, the practice is about input. It's about doing what's right for you. For those of you who don't have myofascial release and you're in half pigeon, this is not just a beautiful hip stretch, but if you're like me, and I know Pete does too, we hold a lot of tension in our lower backs. That has a lot to do with the relationship between our diaphragm, nervous system, and hip flexors travels into our backs. And so this is a really awesome release for the lower back as well. The Chopra Centre put up a post recently saying that we're not defined by how much we do. When we're feeling overwhelmed, we should see it as a sign that, if anything 2020's taught us, it's the need to slow down and shift the focus from our to-do lists to prioritising ourselves, putting ourselves first, especially self-care and balance. those of us in half pigeon, take in 3 more really deep, slow, long breaths. And then take your time transitioning straight over to the other side, but spend a little bit of time on your all fours. So just by pulling that right leg out from underneath, you might like to even just kind of sway your hips from side to side, just to flush out. And then as you feel ready, setting up your left side. It's the same setup. Left knee behind left wrist, toes towards the right side of your mat, back leg lengthens as much as your hip will allow. Don't worry if the left hip's quite high off the ground. Prop it up as much as you like, and then utilise your prop out in front to lie down. Those of you who are doing the myofascial release, then you've got another 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes. those of us in half pigeon, 3 more breaths, make them really juicy. Slowly, we're going to come back onto all fours. So just use your hands, slide that left leg out from underneath, and again, take a little bit of a sway side to side. This is going to take us all into Shavasana. And so for those of you who are more comfortable lying on your belly, feel free to transition to lying on your belly or even on your side. If you're more comfortable lying flat on your back, then make your way onto your back into a traditional Shavasana and utilise as many or as few of the props as you like. I definitely highly recommend placing something over your eyes, so eye pillow or even a little towel or even a face washer. Just for a bit of weight, a bit of darkness, so it gives you the opportunity to really turn in. Giving back to yourself that input rather than constantly outputting. What a difference an hour can make. Just to feel more centered, more grounded, more in balance. What it gives us is the insight to notice when we're out of balance. And then the tools to be able to bring ourselves back into balance. One short hour out of our 24 hours in a day. Help yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Keep your eyes closed down and bring your hands together at heart center, Anjali Mudra. And we'll close our beautiful, blissful balance practice off with the powerful vibration of Om. Take a deep breath. Once the third eye, we bow. My soul honours your soul, the deepest essence within me, the place of purity and perfection within me, honours the same place within you. Together we are one, together we say Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Feels better, huh?
Yep.
I hope you feel better as well and have an epic day today, a great weekend, a great week ahead, and we do really hope that we see you all in the flesh soon. Take care.
Bye.
Stay sane. Bye.